This is VOCM Open Line. Call 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626. The views and opinions of this program are not necessarily those of this station. The biggest conversation in Newfoundland and Labrador starts now.
Well, good morning and welcome to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and I am subbing in here on the show for the next couple of weeks. Started off yesterday, and I want to thank everybody for tuning in yesterday and welcome today. We're hoping to have a great show today, and of course, that it all depends on you. If you got something on your mind you want to discuss, give us a call. We are here. 273-5211 is the number in the metro area. And I'm just going to start off by saying we live in a different federal political world today. Last night, and if you didn't stay up late, of course, this morning you were all finding out that the Mark Carney government is now a majority government, securing all three by-election seats, two in Ontario that weren't really in question. And of course, it really doesn't seem to be much of a surprise this morning that the Carney government got the two seats in Ontario to make the majority. But the seat in Quebec that they won by one vote in the federal election and then got overturned by the Supreme Court, that was in question. And it was close back and forth all evening. And then, of course, late in the evening, I believe they secured the seat by just over 700 votes. So it's not a huge victory, but as they say in the sports world, a W is a W, and it is a clean sweep for them. So if you have anything to say about the new scenario that we don't have a minority government. In other words, some of the checks and balances of the system have been eliminated because the opposition parties now don't have the clout to influence the government that they did yesterday. Now today, the Carney government has basically a ticket to ride right through till I think the election has to be called by about October 15th in 2029. So let's hear from you on that one. Now, look, this morning, woke up to slush and snow and rain and all of that. And I thought, get the vehicle started, cleaned off, and come up the road. And I thought, yeah, okay, we're back into a little bit of winter. I won't let it depress me too much because you get excited when you get a 12-degree day on the weekend. But here's the thing. I'm coming up Fowler's Road this morning, and I get behind a vehicle and coming up towards the highway, and I got close enough. They had a large sign attached to the back of the vehicle, and it was a sign of inspiration, I got to say, because it gave me one of those warm, cozy feelings driving up the road and seeing the vehicle, and I did as they asked. And the sign on the back of the vehicle said, "Honk for me, my last cancer treatment." So they got a big thumbs up and a honk for me, and I hope everyone else out there honk for them as well, because you can imagine what that person was going through, and of course what it meant to them today to finish up a cancer treatment. And of course, in this province, across our country, 1 in 4 people are directly or indirectly affected by cancer. So good for them. Glad, all the best for the future for them. And it was great to see that this morning. So Dave, we have someone on the line, and I think we're going to go to line 2, and this is, and forgive me now, Sandra on Canada Post. Sandra, welcome to Open Line.
Yes, hi Darren, how are you?
Well, good this morning. How are you doing, Sandra?
No, not too bad at all, not too bad at all. I'm just calling about the efficiency of Canada Post. I don't know what's happening. I had a birthday recently, and I had 2 cards come up from the States that were mailed almost 4 weeks ago because they want to make sure that I got them, and they're not here yet. I had a card from Nova Scotia 3 weeks ago. That hasn't appeared yet. And worst of all, I had a card sent from Stephenville, and that was every bit of 2 weeks ago, and that hasn't appeared yet. And last year, it was the same thing. People would send cards well in advance, and I never got them. And worse now, most concerning, was that I had 2 doctor's appointments over the past month, and I got letters from the health science people, and they came after they were delivered to my mail after my appointments.
Oh, that's not good. That's not good.
No, I don't know what's happening with Canada Post, but I know they're in negotiations or something to stop house-to-house delivery and that kind of thing. Maybe they're preoccupied with something. I don't know, but I mean the postal delivery has been awful as far as I'm concerned, certainly.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you're getting notices of appointments after the appointments, that is an absolute problem. And of course, I'm hoping there was a backup system. Just on another matter, I'm hoping there was a backup system that you got a phone call or an email or something to let you know when the appointment was. Or did you miss those appointments?
Oh, no. I write down the appointments, so I have them here in front of me. But I'm just, in case if somebody didn't do that and didn't get the call, they would have likely missed the appointment. So I don't have, and the funny thing is that they always manage to get the flyers in your mailbox, flyers and junk mail and things like that. But some important stuff just gets overlooked, and I don't know if it's the sorters or I'm thinking, too, it could be that people say, oh, well, this is a birthday card. Maybe there's money inside, and maybe people open the cards. I don't know.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. But it's an interesting thing because I think we have seen a lot of changes with Canada Post over the years, in recent years especially, of course. And we've had a couple work stoppages as well that have affected. And I'm not sure where things stand there. Maybe somebody from and I can't remember the union now. It might be CUPE or CUPW, whichever it is that represents the postal workers. Maybe could give us a call and let us know, give us an idea of what's going on if these sorts of things are happening. Now, I'm going to ask you, and you don't have to tell me, Sandra, you live in the metro area or you live in the rural area?
No, I live in the metro area.
Wow, yeah. So, your letter for your appointment didn't have to travel very far.
Oh, no, and not at all. I live in the Pleasantville area, actually, so it's not that far from the health science. But, maybe that's the thing. Maybe I don't know. Maybe they're involved in something to do with negotiations or... Yeah,
that shouldn't have anything to do with it. They're not on strike. There's no job action on the go.
No.
The delivery of the mail should be happening as it should normally flow. Now, staffing levels, that might be an issue, affecting things, of course. Can't say, but it'd be interesting to find out if there is something systemic going on that has changed why mail like medical appointments are arriving after the medical appointments. I've had a couple over the past year or so that have arrived, but they've arrived long before. Way before the appointment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't live in St. John's, so it's odd to me that something like this would happen for sure, and it shouldn't be happening. Absolutely.
Oh, well, I'm ever hopeful. I'm thinking maybe one day I'll walk down to our mailbox and the cards will be there or something. You never know. Got to have a little bit of hope.
Well, Sandra, I'm hoping that you're going to have a birthday next year, and you might get them in time for that. Hey.
Yeah, here's hoping. Okay, Darren, thanks a lot for your
Okay,
help.
Sandra, belated birthday. Happy birthday to you. Have a great day. Okay, where are we going now, Dave? Number 3. And I am going to Joseph. Are you there, Joseph?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, that's going to be my motto line. Are you there? Until I get this sorted out. But Joseph, welcome to Open Line. I understand you want to have a chat about the MOU.
Yes, I've been listening to Fury, or Hutton and Hogan on the last few days talking about this MOU. And they're wondering if it's dead. But they should realize by now that Tony Wakeham was have a panel reviewing that, and the results of it are going to be out before the end of this month. So they just have to wait like everyone else. And another thing I wanted to talk about, they're talking about this 46,000 Danny Williams donated to the PC government when they were up for elections, and there seems they're on that every day. Anyway, I don't know what the trouble is with them. They can't accept that because in 2019 they're forgetting about the elections in 2019 when Mr. Hickman paid for it out of his own pocket, paid for the Liberal elections out of his own pocket. And I'm thinking that the cost of that was more substantial than 46,000.
Well, it's the donation part is, I guess, become the big question for the public is, should there be rules in place, levels of donation and so forth. And of course, the opposition is going to make political hay of anything that they think will resonate with the electorate, of course, because, they're looking towards the next election and they are asking the questions that they believe are in the public interest. How come, why, when, and I hear what you're saying when it comes to the MOU, because we've heard the Premier and the Premier again, I think, just recently, and of course the Minister talk about the end of April, and that's when it's going to happen. I suspect that there is, that the opposition feels there's some urgency, that every day is a lost day when you're trying to get to the finish line on a deal, and of course it's their interest that a deal is reached because it was originally their MOU. However, not being the government any longer, as you note, the Premier does have the right to say when it comes, we'll make it public, and that's going to be the end of April, not before. So, anything else on that, Joseph?
No, that's fine. Darren, thanks for taking my call.
Absolutely. Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it. And we'll be watching very closely in just a couple of weeks or so to see what comes of it.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Joseph, take care. Have a great day. Okay. Next up, Dave, I think we're going to line one. And on line one, we have Sharon, who wants to talk about aquaculture waste in Bay St. George. Sharon, are you there?
Yes, hi, I am.
Well,
how are you?
That's three in a row I've gotten right this morning, Sharon, on a bit of a roll. How are you doing? And are you calling from the Bay St. George area?
Yes, I'm calling from Maidstone, St. David's, Bay St. George South. I'm calling about, I've been complaining about this now, I guess, for 8 years. This aquaculture waste that's being brought into our community to be burned in New World Dairy anaerobic digester. And this is a dairy farm that this waste from the aquaculture industry is being brought here. No one else apparently on the island accepts it. In 2019, when it was at its worst, our apple trees died off. Our plum trees that we had in 3 or 4 years died, so much so they didn't recover. We took them out. My raspberry canes died. Now, this last year, we held a protest in 2019, October. We held another in October this year. And the excessive amounts that's coming in, the reports from the environmental after my radio interview, I don't know if it was with Patty Daly or I had done one with CBC, there was an environmental assessment done there of what was going on and of the people's complaints. And they were given 2 weeks notice to let them know they were coming to do an inspection. So obviously there was nothing to report. There was no smell or anything on that particular day. But that's not normal how it is. We're dealing with this constant. It's affecting our daily lives. It's affecting the health of the residents. A lot of people here are having lung issues because it's outside all the time. It depends on the wind direction, who has it the worst. There are a lot of people who have had to take extended rounds of antibiotic and steroids to clear up their lungs or try to clear up their lungs. So much so that our nurse practitioner here did a letter to Hal Cormier, our MHA, to address the concerns. Now, their permit to burn this in the digester, in 2019, the environment guy brought me a copy of the permit, and it said they were allowed 1 to 2 loads a day. In the report from which was obtained under the Freedom of Information Act, said their report, it was obviously what they were reporting, was saying 1 to 2 loads a day. I know the difference because I witness it daily, and through Freedom of Information, it came to light that there was up to 12 tractor trailer loads a day going to the center of a rural community that always a business that already has in excess of 2,000 cows. Now, the other thing that, as far as I'm concerned, that health and safety should be concerned with is this is toxic, rotten, maggot-infested waste that is going to a dairy farm that is producing milk for human consumption. Isn't it a reason for concern? And I don't usually have the smell in my home. Our house, my husband and I worked all our lives to have a nice, comfortable home for our retirement. And I can't even go outdoors now. I was a walker. I don't walk. I had a vegetable garden, very successful vegetable garden. I don't even want to open my door. The 25th of March, I had the smell in my home. I could smell it in the kitchen. It was coming in I suspect, my laundry vent in my basement, in my laundry room. So the next day, I went out and I duct taped my laundry dryer vent. I closed my laundry room door, closed my door to my basement, put books over my hallway vent. I had the smell in my house Tuesday night last week, all night. And I was nauseated all night and all day Wednesday. Thursday, my lung was aching. I took an allergy pill. I'm still not over it. And why isn't government doing independent study of the air quality here? I've had. So
Sandra, this, and I know. Sharon. Sorry, you called in I know in October, and there's how often do you see the waste come to the area?
It's every day.
Every day. So truckloads, and transport truckloads, open truckloads, that sort of thing.
It's when it comes on flatbeds, it's 24 tubs, fish tubs on it. It comes in tankers. It comes in van trailers. I assume the tubs are in the van trailers, but 12 tractor trailer loads a day. And the other thing I wanted to mention, last week on your news report, you said that the city of St. John's had cleaned up a potent stench on Waterford Bridge Road. It was foul-smelling spill. Drivers in the area reported that the spill was so bad it made them sick.
Yeah.
Rotten fish. You remember the report?
You must have. Yeah, that must have rang hollow for you, of course, because of what you're dealing with in Bay St. George. Look, Sharon, just wondering, have you been speaking to the Department of Environment recently?
It's a waste of time.
Okay.
You're wasting your breath.
So is that a no? I'm wondering. Like, have you, or have they just? Are they giving you lip service? What are you getting from them?
No. Nothing. 8 years, nothing has been done.
Yeah.
And like this is only a
because all of these things, and sorry to interrupt, I got to get to break here now. I'm 5 minutes behind, but I wanted to hear what you had to say because I hadn't heard you before. But I just, all of these things have to be approved by the Department of Environment, when it comes to, offloads and getting roofs. So even the dairy farm has to be, all approved if that's going to happen. So this has been given the thumbs up, I would assume, from the province. Obviously, that's not a secret because you've made it public, and environment knows about it. And of course, it would be to them to shut it down if something was felt to be done untoward. I think that's something that we need to reach out to the minister and get their view and see what the situation is from their side of it and go from there. But it sounds like an absolutely horrible existence to have to smell and breathe in something that is foul. Even with smoke and all these sorts of things, there are all kinds of restrictions on, how that floats. But the absolute terrible smell that you're experiencing is something that I don't think anybody want to go through. Sharon, I have to let you go. I've got to go to break, but I appreciate your call, and we'll reach out to the Department of Environment, see what we can get them to say about it.
Yeah, well, like it's not only with this, it's with the other part of it, of the rock plastic salmon video that was made on the South Coast about all the debris that is being distributed down there and just left.
Yep.
If an individual did that, they'd be charged.
Yeah.
And the provincial government shut down the waste garbage incinerators in Olivedon Island because it was an environmental concern.
Yeah.
This is worse. This anaerobic digester, this is just an excuse for an incinerator, and it's killing the people here.
It doesn't sound good at all, Sharon. Anyway, you take care. We'll see if we can get the environment to respond to it, for sure.
Thank you. I just hope someone else will call in.
Absolutely.
And voice their
Anybody
concern.
else has a concern, please do. Thank you, Sharon. And we're going to say goodbye. And Dave, I'm going to go to you, and you can go to break. Thank you. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent. And a little earlier, we had a call in from Sandra, who was getting her notices for her medical appointments after the medical appointments. And she asked what's going on with Canada Post. I can tell you we have someone on the line that knows a lot about what's going on with Canada Post. Craig Dyer with Cup W. He's currently the VP of Local 126. Craig, I know that there are all kinds of things that can contribute to the delay in mail. But this lady in particular has highlighted what seems to be more than just one occasion that she's having a lot of trouble with mail. And Craig, I know you've been around a long time and you've seen a lot of changes in Canada Post. What are your offerings on her situation, and what may be contributing to the delays?
Good morning, Darren. Long time no talk.
Yes, sir.
I received a lot of phone calls. I'm busy getting ready for arbitration now. But this has been a steady deterioration of, and I'll speak to St. John's, Newfoundland, but the post office from coast to coast to coast. As postal workers, you got a bunch of great men and women, brothers, sisters, cousins, soccer coaches, volunteers that go in every day and work hard. But when you got the wrong staffing model, it causes problems like we're experiencing here today. We've been complaining for years locally in St. John's and the metro area that we don't have sufficient and adequate staff. And now we're starting to see the results. And what we need as a postal service is for people to reach out to their MPs and complain. I can tell this woman here that St. John's is a warehouse for mail. We don't have enough staff to process the mail, so it sits there for days, weeks, and sometimes a month. And as a worker, as a person who delivers the mail, it's very frustrating when you know that the person on your route's waiting for a doctor's appointment, waiting for a parcel, waiting for a check. And you know it's in the building, but there's nothing you can do about it.
Craig, are you saying that mail is sitting there for a month waiting for the staff to be able to get to it because of staffing levels?
Yep. I'm saying it as it is, and I'll give you the best example. Prior to October 2025, we had a structure, a model in St. John's where 6 people would sort the mail for St. John's, Mount Pearl, Kilbride. We had a restructure, a reorganization, and they reduced it by 1. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it is. It's significant. So recently, they've been throwing all this money at it in overtime. It's not about the overtime. It's about having the right staff in the right place. We've sat down. We've talked about it. We consulted with all the different levels of management in St. John's. And I hate to say, Darren, we're in a grievance campaign now. Like, we shouldn't have to be filing grievances to get service to the public, right? We should not have to go into a third party to say that you don't have enough staff in the operations in St. John's, 98 Camel Road, or in the letter carrier or RSMC depot. It's embarrassing for us, right? Our members get genuinely upset when they can't provide the service because we're not being managed properly.
Oh, that's incredible. So I'm seeing people say over the past while that it seems like the mail's only being delivered once or twice a week. Is that just a product of what you're seeing inside the buildings?
That is actually factual, and there's 48 routes in St. John's. I think there's 15 RSMC routes. The RSMCs are a different unit, and they take care of all their mail, their parcels, their packets. But the 48 are now being serviced by what we call routers, and they don't have enough staff. I've delivered mail in Mount Pearl where I would only have parcels, no letter mail, no manual mail. And that has happened for days because they don't have the opportunity to get the work done. And that's embarrassing because in the past, we would deliver any piece of mail that came in that building. If it came in on a Tuesday, it was delivered on a Wednesday. If it came in on a Thursday, it was delivered on a Friday. But our carriers are genuinely getting stressed. I have one carrier. Normal days work is probably about 6 to 8 containers of mail. He has told me that he has over 90 containers of mail sitting in a holding area waiting to be processed so he can deliver it. That's not right.
That's all kinds of mail. That's not just regular mail. It may be things of a very timely nature, medical, like we heard from Sandra earlier. That's just incredible. And what's the fix for that? How does it get fixed? You're talking about staffing models.
Proper staffing models.
Yeah,
we have a lot of experience in the union, and we sat down and we talked. There's got to be a willingness to do the right thing. We are mandated underneath the law to deliver mail 5 days a week. That is the public's right. It is a law, but nobody's being held accountable. That's why I'm telling the public to, if they want to complain, please complain to their MP. The more attention brought to it, because, we are trying very hard as a union, as workers, to get this done, and we are embarrassed by it. But apparently local management, whether it's in St. John's, Halifax, or Ottawa, just aren't listening.
So, Craig, I know, and you guys have had job actions and so forth over the years, just before Christmas, and have gone above and beyond during that time frame to make sure that Christmas things get out and you do that sort of work. And here we're in a situation where you are at the point where everyone is so overwhelmed with 90 bins of backed up mail from God knows how long ago people are waiting on. This is an incredible situation. Have you ever seen it this bad?
No, I've never seen it this bad. And the other side of it, Darren, is we're in the middle of a ratification vote, and we're in the middle of government intervention. I was actually planning on calling you and talk about closures of possible rural post offices, but there's a lot of things happen at the post office. There's a lot of misinformation out there to the public, and all I can say is that our members are giving it their best effort. I do have examples, and I don't wish to get anybody in trouble, but people will go above and beyond to get, if they see a doctor's appointment or if they see a check or if they see a card going to Nan or Pop, they will make an extra effort to get that out. but they're also not supposed to do it, but they feel obligated to their people that they deliver to get it done.
But Craig, if it's buried in the back of the 9th bin in a row, you can't do that. You can't even do it if you wanted to.
Yeah, but we do, like, I deliver to my own neighborhood in Mount Pearl, and I get calls regularly. Craig, I'm looking for this. Craig, I'm looking for that. If I see it, I'll grab it. I'll talk to my supervisor, ask, can I deliver it? And a lot of carriers do that too, but it's just very overwhelming, and I'm very sorry to that woman because one of our biggest complaints about 2 years ago was these doctor's appointments. Right, and there's many different products that go out in the mail that people need for banking, for doctor's appointments, for checks, and we feel really bad about it. And our hands are tied. We need the support of the public, and we need the government intervention to come put a lens on us and say what's happening in St. John's.
Craig, just on a little bit of a different note, one of the things she said, she's got letters, cards, birthday wishes, and so forth coming from the United States. Given what's happening, I guess between the two countries and so forth, and we hear all kinds of different levels of effect, do you think that there is an effect on the other side of the border that's slowing that down before it gets to you guys? Or do you think it's coming as it normally would and is just being slowed down here just because of the lack of staff?
I'm not aware of any interference with the states. Mail is processed, and most of the mail, Darren, is processed by machines now. So we don't even get to see it. So it comes into a container in Montreal, gets sorted in Montreal, goes to the different destinations throughout the country, and when it arrives, it gets processed locally. So I can honestly say I'm not aware. I've seen a lot of American mail over my time, and to me, it's just another piece of mail. It's interesting that you got an American stamp on it, but that's about it. We process as required, right?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Craig, I greatly appreciate you calling in to let us know what is happening with Sandra's mail and a lot of other people's mail, apparently, mine probably included. And I wish you all the best, and hopefully things will improve. And like you say, this is a job for the federal government to try to sort out, and for people to call their MP. So, Craig, thank you for calling in this morning. Greatly appreciated.
If you got 30 seconds there, and I'd just like to ask you, your position in your community. Canada Post was just given the green light by the federal government to make all these transitions to basically save Canada Post, which I don't know why we need savings. But one of the big things is closure of post offices. And I'm looking at your community. We represent many post offices in your community, and our fear now is the government has given a green light to start closing rural post offices. Has anybody from the corporation or government reached out to your community and asked for your input?
No, I don't think so. I haven't seen anything, but that doesn't mean it hasn't gone internal as well, Craig.
Oh, no, and what we're looking for is a public mandate. The citizens of Canada have to have input on how they want their postal service. We don't disagree with change, but it's not a couple of bureaucrats in Ottawa or in Canada Post making these decisions. We believe that this must be public mandated form, and communities like yourself, which we believe will be impacted, need to have their say. Yeah. And the leadership like yourself and other leaders in different communities should be involved. But thank you very much for your time, Darren, and we will chat later on.
Thank you for calling in, Craig. You take care.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Craig Dyer with Cup W. Some very concerning information there regarding the delivery of mail and the backlog of mail. 90 bins at St. John's not delivered. Okay, Dave, you want to go to another break? We'll be back in a moment on VOCM's Open Line. Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, subbing in for this week and next. And our hospitality industry in Newfoundland and Labrador is a backbone for many communities. It's what we're known for. Hospitality, great place to visit, beautiful scenery, fantastic and friendly people. And of course, anything that may affect a fragile ecology of tourism is of concern. And I have on the line with me right now, the Chair of Hospitality, Newfoundland and Labrador, John Devereaux. John, welcome to Open Line.
Hi, Mr. Ben. How are you?
Not too bad, sir.
I just got beat in there. Yeah, no, listen, I don't think I need any better interlude than that, what you just said there.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of things happening in the world right now, John, that has a big effect on tourism, on people's decisions on what they're doing with their disposable income, of course, and you guys are watching this absolutely very closely, aren't you?
We're watching it minute to minute, the same, I'm sure, as you are. You know what? 6 weeks ago, you could ask us, and we say we're so optimistic about this year, which we still are. But the world is a different world right now. But, you know, people come to Newfoundland, Labrador to travel here. It's a bucket list trip. It's not like you're going from Montreal to Toronto and you're dropping into Kitchener, Ontario, or something like that on the way. When you plan to come here, it's a trip that you plan a year or 2 years out. So people, it's a bucket list trip, like I say, and so they're going to come here. The expenses are going to go a little bit higher this year. That's a concern, but you know, people are still traveling. So.
Well, people are still traveling, and of course, we are a great draw, but, you know, money is always a factor. John, I've got to go to a break and pay some bills because I'm a little bit behind, but I'm going to get you to hold on, and we'll come back and we'll have that full discussion.
Sure, no problem.
All right, back to you, Dave. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent. On the line, I have John Devereaux, the Chair of Hospitality, Newfoundland and Labrador. John, are you still there?
Hi, Darren. Yes, I am.
Okay,
sorry. Yeah.
Great. And thank you for hanging on. Look, what is the biggest thing that concerns you right now with the volatility we're seeing?
Listen, just the stability of the world right now, I think, is concerning to everyone. But for us, as an industry representing Newfoundland and Labrador, I think we're still a place that people want to travel to and visit here. We're definitely a bucket list trip. But access is going to be, you'll always hear that from our mouths, from our Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador. If we can get the people here, we can take care of them. We'll build more hotels, we'll build more restaurants, but getting people to the Rock is going to be the hard part, and to Labrador. We have the Route 51 there in Labrador going through Quebec, which is great. But now we need to get more access, whereas Marine Atlantic flights coming in. It's great that we see the overseas travel. We have flights coming from Ireland, England, Paris. They're full. So, you know, that's a big contributor to our economy right now. And we're excited about that. And it's looking like a great season so far. So we're excited. We're excited. Cautiously optimistic, I should say.
Yeah. So, John, you know, and one of the things that I've heard over the last couple of days is not, you know, we know there's a fraction of the flights coming and going from Newfoundland and Labrador that there was years ago, and we know those years are gone. But the cost of the flights, and if you haven't booked early, they tend to get really high. That must be a concern for you folks as well.
It is, and you know what? Like I say, the people that come here, that travel here, it's a trip that you have to plan a year out. So people don't come here by mistake. It's a bucket list trip, as I always said. So you know, but so many people want to come and feel the fresh air, the freedom, and just the nature, the hospitality, the people more than anything, and people love it when they come. We get reviews all over, you know, from Labrador to Corner Brook to right down east. So people really enjoy traveling here. It's just that we're a hidden gem. we don't want to get it out too much probably, but we do. And we need to get people here, and access is the big thing.
Yeah, and one of the great things about tourism for here is we are a convention destination. And of course, those are people mostly traveling on someone else's dime. So when they get here, they can spend their own money. And of course, that makes a big difference. What are you seeing coming up for conventions this year throughout the summer and the fall?
Well, in talking with our colleagues at Destination St. John's, they're telling us that the meeting and event sector are showing a strong recovery since pre-COVID. Like, we're up 167% growth in number of delegates, 113% growth in number of events. International events are pacing at 397% growth in delegates. So we're becoming a destination for things like that. I mean, look at the Briar. Look out in your neck of the woods. The Allen Cup is going to come there. The hockey, so these events are things that generate so much revenue throughout the whole province, but there's different sectors. So, I mean, tourism generates $1.4 billion in revenue per year. We have 20,000 employees in our sector. We have approximately 2,700 businesses under our umbrella. We're in every nook and cranny in the province. Tourism is going to be, it's the new fishery.
Yeah, and given the unrest in different parts of the world and things that are happening and I guess from day to day, week to week, we're not sure exactly where the upheaval is going to be. It makes a great year for traveling at home, does it not?
It does, and that's one of our concerns this year. I think interprovincial travel this year may be down a little bit. I mean, if you're sitting at your home on a Sunday and you want to go to Dildo or to the Lighthouse picnics, then you're looking at the price of gas and you're saying, okay, should we go or should we not? Whereas last year, you just get in your car and you go visit the whales in St. Vincent's, So this year, that's why we're cautiously optimistic about this season.
Yeah, and just one note, I was in a restaurant recently and saw a sign up near the door that said our menu prices are changing May 1st due to increased costs. I'm assuming those increased costs are associated with the cost of getting them the supplies for their meals and so forth. Is that something that you think people take in stride, or is that something that can have a negative effect?
That's a major factor in what we're looking at. I mean, the food and beverage industry is going to be hit probably one of the hardest with the oil prices and gas going up. I mean, you got cargo coming in, you got shipping coming in, and how far do you have to take it to pass it on to the consumer? I mean, there's only a certain amount of money that you can charge for a meal. But for the restaurant industry especially, it's going to be tough. But there's got to be a happy medium there, and hopefully government can help out with us with that.
Yeah, and of course the restaurant. There's nothing more fragile than the restaurant business, is there? I mean, it's one of those things that you hear about a lot of them. We've seen some close recently. Some styles of restaurants close. A couple of years ago, we had a number of closures. But at the same time, you get a number of new restaurants opening. So, are you finding balance there for that for people's choices and so forth? Because we all know now there are way more restaurants today than there was 30 years ago.
Yeah. No, 100%. We noticed, we're talking with some restaurateurs, and they're saying that the business has slowed down a lot. But Newfoundland and Labrador has been known for restaurants, just like with the Newfoundland authentic meals. And we want to turn into a franchise city. We want to try and keep some things with Newfoundland and Labrador also.
No, absolutely, John, and of course we've got all kinds of offerings in that. I guess the big thing is if you're traveling, say, to visit family, and people coming home to visit family, if you have to fly, if you have to rent a hotel, those costs can be very high, especially if you do it in. I'm going to go now, and I think even if I decided today to come here in July, it's almost like the cheaper flights and the more inexpensive hotels are already probably gone. So your advice is for people that are looking to come or looking to travel either way, to do it as early as you possibly can, I suppose.
Well, right now I think Marine Atlantic is probably almost topped out. So that's why access, you'll always hear us speaking about access. It's so important that we keep trying to generate more people getting here. But my advice would be to book early. As soon as possible, especially rental cars, flights, marine, everything else too. So
yeah, and how much does for the in-home travel? How much does weather play a role? The wildfires last year, of course, affected specific areas. But once you have that alert and concern, around the metro area, does it deter people? Do you think, or do you think people go, no, I'm going anyway. I made my trip, and if I got to leave, I'll leave.
Yeah, no, people are concerned about it, and people don't realize how big Newfoundland and Labrador is. If people were traveling to Labrador last year during the wildfires, they'd be concerned because they thought that Carbonear was close to Labrador, so vice versa. But, that's education purposes that we're trying to provide to people too, and let them know that we have good infrastructure. We do safety training. Actually, at our conference, we had a speaker speak about the importance of environment and life-changing events and everything like that. So, so we're just trying to educate people. That's the big thing.
Yeah, and it's a good note how big this province is. Of course, there are lots of places to visit around Newfoundland and Labrador. Incredible places, really. I'm always amazed every time I go somewhere I haven't driven through. It's just incredible. And of course, when I worked at NTV years ago, CTV would call us from Toronto and say, "Okay, you're in St. John's. Look, can you just pop over to Port aux Basques, get a few pictures, and come back and send them in to us?"
Exactly.
And they're looking at it on the map, thinking. It's probably an hour drive. Yeah. Think again. But, and of course, that's part of your role as Hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador is to let everybody that may come here know how big we are, how many different things we have to offer. And wish you a great a year, and hopefully it'll flourish, as you say, with the numbers of people that are up when it comes to conventions and just the in-province travel. Thank you for taking the time this morning, John.
Darren, I'll just leave you with this. Listen, the demand is there. People are looking for authentic, experience-driven travel. Newfoundland and Labrador delivers that. If we can continue to address the access and support operators, we'll be positioned for a strong season. So we're cautiously optimistic.
Okay, John, thank you very much. You have a good day. And we are getting ready for the news now. Dave, you can take it away. Well, welcome back to Open Line, and I just want to tell you my next guest is no stranger to any one of you, iconic in the world of curling, and of course, it was the biggest question after the retirement of Brad Gushue in the curling world, both here and abroad around the world, is what is Mark Nichols going to do? And now we know Mark Nichols is joining the reigning Canadian champion, Brier champions, and the world silver medalist team, Matt Dunstone. And I have Mark Nichols on the line. Mark, welcome to Open Line.
Thanks for having me, Darren.
Well, you've had an incredible career, and you're ready to start a brand new adventure representing a different place. First of all, how does that feel?
It feels good. It feels good to finally be able to, get the news out and let people know what my plans are, and now start the process to, learn about new teammates and new systems and all those things that, I'm not really used to doing. This is going to be completely new for me, but I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and Mark, your phone must have been buzzing constantly for the past few weeks, I would say.
It hasn't been as bad. Once the news came out yesterday, it was quite busy, but it was nice to know that there was a lot of people out there supporting me, and they encouraged my decision and are looking forward to following the next step.
Yeah, so like we're used to in the curling world of people moving around teams and so forth. You with Brad welcome people in from all across the country to help out, to build the best team possible to represent. And now you're going with Matt Dunstone. First of all, how close are you and Matt? How over the years have you built a relationship, or was this kind of out of the blue and you're just gonna meet the guys and see how it goes?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we're super close. You have conversations on the road, like between games and stuff like that. But no, we typically stick with your own team. So it'll be completely new for me in terms of learning, what the guys like, what they don't like, how they approach the game, and certain routines that they have. I wouldn't say we're super close, but I'm looking forward to getting to know those guys.
So, Mark, and I know you've known for quite a while that Brad was going to retire, and that's been going through your mind, of course, is what's my future going to be. Did you consider retiring yourself, or were you ready to retire and then a call comes from Matt Dunstone, or how did that kind of go in your mind?
Yeah, just funny you say that. I was talking to a few people about it yesterday, and I think if you had asked me 6 months ago, I would have been closer to retiring than continuing on. Once we found out Brad's plans, and I had some conversations about what I was going to do with my family, but I really, with the Brier being here in St. John's, and after the disappointment of not winning the Olympic trials, I wanted to kind of just put all my focus on the Brier, and I feel like I did a good job of that and making sure I was ready for that event. And I was prepared, if no one reached out or if I wasn't able to find something that I liked after the Brier, I was totally content with not playing. But after it was all said and done, I talked to a few teams and a few, individual players about their plans. And once Matt reached out to me and we had a few conversations, it just seemed like it was, not a no-brainer, because I still would have been, on the fence of playing or not. But it was a really hard opportunity to pass up for me. Those guys they're playing so well right now. They're one of the best teams in the world. And for me to have the chance to try to fit myself into that group and have an opportunity to compete, not only within Canada, but against the best teams in the world, I thought like it was too good to pass up.
Yeah, and Mark, I don't think I'm going too far to say that your team, you and Brad together over the years, have really made a mark on curling that has brought it to a different level of viewership and sponsorship and excitement, not just here at home, but across the country and probably around the world. And one of those things that, it happens to the sport, that the worry is that, if all of you have moved on, what's next for curling? But one thing I can tell you is that curling fans here in this province, and they have grown 1,000-fold since you guys have made your mark on the world scene, we're looking for someone to cheer on. And now they've got to go, we're all Matt Dunstone fans. That's gonna feel a little odd for some of them, but I think that they're going to be Mark Nichols fans cheering on Matt Dunstone. So how does that feel? Because it is different. And you did play, I believe you played at least one, maybe a couple of years with Jeff Stoughton at one point as well, didn't you not?
Yeah, so first, that's very kind of you to say. I do really appreciate that. And our fans are something that we've just grown to love. And it's almost overwhelming at times, the amount of I don't want to say attention we get, but the fan base that we've created with Team Guju. So the number of messages that I got from Team Guju fans saying I'm looking forward to cheering on Team Dunstone next year, it really meant a lot. And yeah, to your second point, I did spend a couple of years in Manitoba. We lived there and played with Jeff, so I'm familiar with Winnipeg, and the curling community there is awesome as well. So I'm assuming I'll spend a little bit of time training camps and things going on in the Winnipeg area. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But I'm also looking forward to, bringing along a lot of Team Guju fans over to Team Dunstone. I hope, I hope I can do them proud. And my goal is just to, play the same type of game that I've always played and, have a good time and really try to challenge myself to be as good as I can be for those guys.
Yeah, and Mark, what is the incentive? Like, what's the driving force? I mean, look, you've won Briars, you've won World Championship, and unfortunately, I know that we all know you've had a few more silvers than golds at the World Championships. Yeah. But you've got 2 Olympic medals. What do you want to do? What would be the thing that you're looking to get the most out of the next season or 2 or so?
That's it's such a good question, because at times you're like, what else do I have to do or accomplish? And, the one thing I keep looking back on is when I have conversations with my family and I look at my boys and watching them watch me at the Briar this past year and how much they loved watching their dad compete. And I'm still competitive. I'm still healthy. I think that's one of the biggest things is that, I'm injury-free, knock on wood, and I'm still able to play at a high level. But I really want to kind of leave a mark for my boys and show them that, it might be really hard and it might take a lot of work and you might have to do things you don't want to do at times, but the reward that you get, even though, like you said, there's a lot of silvers and a lot of losses along the way, the reward on the other side of just having the opportunity to compete at a high level is so key for them, and for them to see that at such a young age, and they're starting their sporting careers, and I really hope that they see that if they put the work in and they love what they do, that they can accomplish big things too, whether it's whatever in sports or life. It doesn't bother me, I really hope that they see that their dad is still working really hard and really trying hard to accomplish big things.
Well, Mark, I remember when you guys won the gold in Turin and came back, and Brad came down to NTV. I was there, and the first thing I said to him, is, how does it feel to be the person to make curling cool? And, you guys have been making curling cool for the last couple of decades, and we really enjoy the ride going along and cheering you on and making sure that we know where the team was and when they're playing. Are they on TV? Why aren't they on TV? How come they're not the feature game? God forbid they don't have the Newfoundland team on as a feature game. But anyway, to know that you're carrying on, we're all Mark Nichols fans. We're going to be cheering you on for sure. And your incentive can be is that I know that you've got a province behind you and you got friends and family of this province all over the world that are behind you too. All the best, my friend, in the next year. We'll get used to saying, when's Dunstone on? But we'll be looking for you.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mark. You have a great day and enjoy the new adventure. Dave, we are going to break now, so you can take it away. We'll be back on Open Line in a couple of minutes. Well, welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and I'll be sitting in this week and next. And just to remind you, we've got a couple of phone numbers that you are certainly asked to give a shout to if you got something to say, want to offer up some information, or just let people know how you feel about something. 1-888-590-8626 and 273-5211 in the metro area. I have on the line now from Let's see. I'm going to do it. Sheila Lee from St. Vincent's. Sheila.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I was born down in Peters River, next to St. Vincent's, but I presently live in Riverhead, St. Mary's Bay.
Is it foggy this morning?
It's a little, not so much foggy, overcast maybe.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But anyway, my topic today, to me, is a critical topic, and I just felt I had to voice my feelings about this over the air and see if we can get some action. I don't know if you're familiar with St. Vincent's Beach, where the whales come into play every year.
Absolutely. So here's the thing, Sheila, I have never been, but I've heard all about it. I've seen all the pictures, and I've made plans to go every year and have just never been able to get there. I'm hoping to get there this year. But you have some concerns about the area down there, don't you?
I do. I have big concerns. We have, if you saw pictures of it, we have a very long beach. Like from one end of the beach where you enter it until you exit on the other end is really long. So in the summertime, past recent years anyway, we've been getting more and more tourists. We've been getting literally thousands of people coming to St. Vincent's Beach. And it's become, I think if I look at my research, I think it says that we're probably the top whale watching beach in Canada. So maybe in the world. So anyway, the problem is that, as you know, with this terrible climate change and with everything that's going on, like there was always a concern, but now it's becoming bigger because of the surges of the water and depending on the way the winds are, with very little protection from the ocean, the roads can get a pretty bad go over during the winter season. And this year, well, it could have been a lot worse, but this year, the biggest issue this year is that road going across there, and especially the sides of the road, because you imagine yourself driving God knows how far to come to that beach, only to find out that there's not a place you can put your car. Because if you see a drone picture, you see all the cars lined up right across this whole big, long beach on both sides of the road. That's the only place they can put them, except for a few little places to pull off, we'll say, which won't take many cars. It's the only place you can put them, to be able to go out on that beach and to be able to look at those whales and to be able to experience the beauty of that beach. You know, people go there even when the whales are not in, because there's birds comes there too, and it's a beautiful, clean, sandy beach that you can go and just sit down and just enjoy the sunshine and the smell of the ocean. And it's a big economic driver for this whole region during that month or so that they're in. Like I would say St. Vincent's Beach is probably the top tourist attraction on the Irish Loop. And just think about the spin-offs. I mean, there's people booking Airbnbs. There's people booking, like, say, over at the edge of Avalon over in Trepassey. There's places here, or one place particular that have a nice takeout. And, like, in the past few years, they've been lined up outside to try to get into that store to buy something in regards to food and that. And you know, you want people to come and have a good experience, but if I can envision now that if this don't get corrected and quickly, because we only have a 2-month window to get it done by the Department of Highways, we are going to have such an embarrassment and such disappointment. I mean, it's going to cost money to drive there this year more than ever, and to have that bad experience for people, like I just can't imagine. Like, it's really, really bothering me.
Yeah, so people from all over descend on that area, and of course it lights up social media with the beautiful pictures and so forth, but you don't see too much of that. Now, Sheila, the province announced its roadwork program for this year and next year already. Do you know if this area is included in it or not when it comes to the road?
No.
Because I see that they're paving sections near Peters River, but that's not going to help your area or the area in the St. Vincent.
It's not going to help our area, no.
Yeah. And do you know
now,
how far a distance that is? What's the distance between?
Oh my God! I would say that beach is a couple of kilometres long, and the road is a couple of kilometres long, right?
Right.
And and really. Right now, I'd like to see a lot more money put into down there, because at least you could have is a really nice place, a few places down where you can pull up properly. But also, it'll never solve the problem with the parking. You're still going to have to park along the side of that road on both sides because of the volume of people. But I'd like to see the highways coming in now and fixing the sides of that road really nice, so that when people will come, that at least we can know for sure that they have a place to pull off. And I'm appealing today to the Minister of Tourism. I haven't met her. I've seen her on Facebook, but I'd love for her to come to the area. I'm appealing to the Minister of Works and Transportation, Mr. Petton. He seems, to be a man who seems like he's serious about doing things. I hope he is. And I'm appealing to the Premier himself that this area, this whole area here, I live in Riverhead. Well, let's say if I live in St. Vincent's, I'm only an hour and a half from St. John's. We're not in the boondocks, and it would be so good if they could just come and have a real good look for themselves, and to really pick up that phone and call the highways and make this their priority now to get this fixed before those whales start to come. That's what I'm asking for.
Yeah, and Sheila, just out of curiosity, when they announced the road work around Peters River, did you reach out to find out what they meant by that? And the only reason I ask is because there are other areas where they say road work in the area of this, but they're doing like 4 kilometers of road. It's just that's where they're going to start. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's over past St. Vincent's. That's over in the in St. Stephen's, Peters River area. They're doing that, right?
Yeah. Okay.
All that's great news. I only heard that a couple of days ago, and that's great news because it's going to mean people coming on the other side of the loop is going to have that many more kilometres now of good driving.
Yeah.
But it's not directly addressing what is most important of all now, for this big thing that happens here now in the summertime,
Yeah, no, I hear you. And it's something that I think you really want to get on the radar of the provincial government so they can do an assessment of it and see what possibly can be done, because we've got these wonderful areas around the province, like the beach down there at St. Vincent's. And of course, you said like getting there, if the road's broken up, if there's nowhere to park, it takes away from the experience when it could be a much greater experience, and of course much better for the hospitality Newfoundland and Labrador group that I had on, of course, and a big draw. Yeah.
So even you just take the food industry part of it and the transportation where so many people gas up. I mean, and go into the store to buy little odds and ends and everything. It really does help economically, but it's tourism is such. I just heard John Dever on, and I know John well, and it's such a big thing now, growing thing for us. And I mean, my hope is that right now, from the short term, they're going to do what they can to make it possible for people to be able to park. But in the long term, I'd like to see them having a real good look at this area, this beach area, and try to do everything possible to enhance it for people to be able to have what I call, go back with a really good vibe about their visit to St. Vincent's Beach,
Sheila, thank you for raising this, and of course we'll raise it with the minister the first opportunity we get. So we appreciate you calling in.
That'd be wonderful. I hope you can do it quickly now because time is up here.
Yeah, and the way they are, then they budget their money. Money's budgeted, so will it be this year or not? But anyway, and you folks down there should reach out to the minister as well. I'm sure they'd be glad to.
I have their phone numbers here now that I'm going to call after I talking to you.
All right,
okay,
Sheila.
Dear.
Have a good day and have a great summer out there in St. Vincent's. We're going to break now, and we'll be back in just a few moments here on Open Line. Well, welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, sitting in this week and next. And just recently, this past week, a number of acting troupes from around the province gathered for the Provincial Drama Festival. This year it was held in Labrador. And one of the award winners from that festival, producer from Theatre CBS, is on the line, Susan Bunnell. Susan, welcome to Open Line.
Well, thank you very much.
So you had the big experience in the big land. Just tell me a little bit about the festival, how it went, what the feel was.
Oh, it was such a wonderful week, and the people of Labrador City were just so welcoming to us. This is the annual Provincial Drama Festival that's hosted by the Newfoundland Labrador Drama Society. So Theatre CBS has been a member for the last couple of years, I think 3 years. We've been a member, and we presented our play Duckish at the last Drama Festival in Corner Brook, and this year we did a show called Popcorn Falls, which was very well received by the audiences. They were clapping and on their feet before we got to the end of the show, which was extremely rewarding. We ended the festival actually there, and we were closing night, which was great because the show, which is about the story is about a little town that's on the verge of bankruptcy and saves itself by putting on a play, but really it's a love letter to community theater. So for all us community theater types at the festival, it really rang true, and the audiences loved it, and it was wonderful. So the adjudicator, they bring in an adjudicator every year for the festival. This year was a Toronto-based actor named David Rial, and he was fantastic. He did a couple of workshops, so we all got to do those, and then every morning he would do a sort of like an extensive adjudication, helping all the clubs and companies learn and improve, and he was phenomenal. If you're a fan of Suits, you would probably recognize him. He played the IT guy on Suits for many years, and he's done lots of movies and stuff. And he really liked our show. He called it a master class in comedy, and awarded our two actors in the play. It's only two guys, Chris Panting and Brad Stone, and they play over 20 roles in the play. And he awarded them with a discretionary award of his own creation called the Best Comedy Duo, which was fantastic. I also won Best Director for the show, and John Bunnell, who happens to be my husband, won Best Lighting as well. So we were, the awards are great, but the experience is really what's the best thing about it,
Right, and this is the second year in a row that your group has taken away awards from the Drama Festival. Look, and the thing about, and I know the way you describe Popcorn Falls, when I saw it, it's one of those, a twist in the tail, hold on till the end, laugh your way through it. But to me, the brilliance of it, the Chris and Brad in this show, they did things in the show that looked like they were mistakes, and they were trying to make up for doing something wrong earlier in the show, yet that was written into the play, and they did it so it looked like, I guess the genius of the playwriting was to make it look like a mistake, so everybody thinks, oh, they've messed up, and we're laughing at it because it's hilarious, and it's not. They're actually acting through it, and you said 20 roles. It's quite incredible. How hard was it for those guys to just keep going around in circles, backstage, front stage, backstage, front stage, being different characters, looking different, and giving the audience a different feel every time they saw them?
We probably should have taken out some stock in Gatorade. They were pretty exhausted, but I will also tell you that you're talking about two of the best actors in community theater that the province has to offer, and This is the second time that I've done a play with just the two of them. They've been in other things that we've done as well, Theatre CBS, but these guys are really great actors who bring a lot of talent to the stage and are just captivating. You can't take your eyes off them when they're on the stage. So it's a pleasure to work with them and to have them part of our troupe with Theatre CBS for sure. They're pretty tired every night. I think they're losing a fair bit of calories by the time the thing is over.
They're getting their steps in, that's for sure. So your friends with the St. John's players were up as well, and I see that Andrew Halliday won Best Actor. What was it like for you to be able to experience all the other things that are going on in the province when you see the other groups doing their shows? And I know you're always learning and exchanging and thinking, that's good, we can move in that direction or this direction. How was it overall?
Oh my gosh, it was so fantastic. Community theater is alive and well in this province. There was 2 troupes that presented from Labrador City. Then the Gander, Grand Falls, Corner Brook, all represented, as well as St. John's. As you said, St. John's players who many of your listeners would be familiar with brought a play called Vincent, which was a one-man show featuring Andrew Halliday, and he just gave a wonderful performance and was awarded for it. It's really nice to get to meet people, learn from people, talk to people. Everybody came with something different. There were plays that were comedic in nature. There were plays that were very serious subject matter. It's great to be in the company of those people and to, as you say, learn from them and share knowledge and resources. We look forward to it every year. We certainly, after going to Corner Brook last year and taking away Best Play, we certainly weren't going to miss going to Labrador. It was an expensive venture. But I will say that, as always, the businesses and community groups in Conception Bay South and St. John's always come through for us. They're very supportive. That's how we do these things. You can only make so much money at the door, but the money that we get that supports us from local businesses and advertising really makes it possible for us to do that kind of thing. So we're very grateful for that support as well. So, and we got another opportunity for people.
Well, that's what I'm going to get to now, Susan. So I saw the show at the Basement Theatre at the Arts and Culture Centre. You did, I believe it was 4 shows in that run a couple of weeks ago, and you took the show to the Drama Festival. And like they do in the movies, once you get an Oscar nomination or award, you go back in the theater. So you're going to bring it back to the Northeast Avalon. Just tell me where and when.
Right. We, in order to participate in the Drama Festival, as you know, Mayor, we don't have a theater out here in Conception Bay South. So being able to go to a theater like the Basement Theatre or somewhere in St. John's made it possible for us to be able to take that show to the Drama Festival. But we want to bring it back home. And so we very quickly arranged with the SUF Hall in Topsail, which, if you're familiar with Conception Bay South, it's located sort of right in front of Topsail Elementary School. It's a really quaint, lovely, historic building, and it's going to be ideal for Popcorn Falls, which takes place in the town hall. So we're going to do that on April 24th. In a couple weeks' time. That's a Friday night at 8 o'clock, and you can find out all the details and things on theatrecbs.com. And just the week after that, we're bringing back to the stage a play called Understanding Wonderland that we first presented last year. It's designed primarily for school children, and we are bringing in a bunch of local school children to see it. It's a play about neurodiversity that was written by a young lady named Leah McDonald, who's associated with our company. She worked with Peter Halley from Spirit of Newfoundland, and they wrote this play about Alice, who falls down the rabbit hole and learns all about autism. So that's happening on the 30th of April, and you're going to see audition notices soon because we're getting ready for our summer show now called Play On. So we're really busy and just so excited and pumped from our drama festival experience.
Okay, so I'll be watching for the auditions. You're not looking for any like older, slow guys, are you? I don't know, for this one maybe. I'll have a look at it and see if I qualify for any parts in that
Since
one.
when were you are you older and slower? You'll be just fine. You come out in the audition.
All right,
and
Susan.
Yes, we take all comers.
Thank you very much, Susan. We look forward. Popcorn Falls is coming back to the Northeast Avalon. It's in Topsail SUF, I believe, April 24th. Keep an eye open for that one. It's a show to see for sure. Congratulations on the awards at the Drama Festival, and all the best to Theatre CBS. We're going to go to the break right now, and we'll be back in just a few moments on Open Line. Welcome back to Open Line, and I want to ask or thank everyone for their patience waiting on the line. We've had a lot of calls this morning, and I'm going now to line 2. Noah, you're on the air. Welcome to Open Line.
Just fine. Thank you.
How can I help you this morning?
Anyway,
What's on your mind?
I was wondering about this Carney fellow, our Prime Minister now. I mean, he was Trudeau's advisor, for 5 years, 2020 to 2025, right?
Sure, yeah. No, he worked with Trudeau prior to becoming Prime Minister.
Yes. So anyway, he was advising Mr. Trudeau about things you should do. And then when he went to election, he took the PC agenda and ran with it. And all the stuff that Pierre Poilievre was going to do, over the past 20-something years, in politics and that, he took his agenda and ran with it and got elected on it, as a minority government. But now then, he's been taking the people with backroom deals and taking the people from the other parties, and all this kind of stuff, so this is not very democratic, I don't think,
Well, I suppose the people that sit in those other parties have the power to make the decision to do it. It's not something that's not... it's not common, but not uncommon in Canadian politics for people to cross the floor.
The old English Parliament, the old English Parliament should have been made away with years ago. You know what I mean? This old English Parliament has gone too far. With politics. What I mean?
There's a lot of things in our system that are old English, like the justice system, and so that the updates are probably long due on a lot of things that we follow.
They're good. The world's changing, but the politics is not changing. So why don't they change the politics too? If they're going to change the world, you know what I mean? The world's changing, this is, so they're gonna gotta do things for the pick up and get with the program in the world. So why don't they change the politics and get with the political system too? The world should be, because all the people in all the countries, all those government that's running the countries, they're all a bunch of gangsters as far as I'm concerned. You know what I mean? Like they're not going around with guns on their side like in the old Western days, but they're doing things that should not be done in a lot of cases.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the floor crossings? How do you think they should be handled then?
I don't think there should be any floor crossing. If you vote to follow in, the person in for to represent you, he should be represented till the next election comes around. And then if he's going to go run for another party, well, he can run for the other party when the election comes around and go and then make his rounds and do it the right way. You know what I mean?
Well, you're not alone in that thinking, Noah. There's been a lot of talk about it because there's been so many, and of course we're hearing, rumors, and of course you don't know if they're...
people that's he taken from the other parties, he's putting them in the caucus. He got people there that's elected into the Liberal Party that's sitting in the backbenches. You know what I mean?
Well, he's got to take care of the home front himself, so we'll see how he's going to manage doing that. Noah, thank you for calling in this morning. Thank you for your thoughts on this.
Other things to do, provincial too, because the electricity should be coming, the HST and that should be coming off our fuels and our electricity and stuff, you know what I mean, and provincially, you know what I mean. I got an MHA here, Mr. Barber. I've been a caller on several occasions, and she never once returned my call. You know, so like the kids and that, they said they're going to look after the groceries and that. You know, but the groceries they can't do that, but they can take the taxes off of the gas and off of the electricity and the HST and the other taxes that they got on the gas and the diesel and the heating. You know, the two or both governments can do that with a stroke of the pen, but they're not doing it. You know what I mean? The same thing now. If you buy ice cream, you know, like a polar bear or something like that, you're paying 15% HST on it. Pop drinks, the food, fast food, and all this stuff. You know, that's our kids doing that. Now then, our federal government is going to say, well, they're not going to allow them on social media. You know, all this stuff is coming up. You know, a big joke. It is what they're going to do. They ain't thinking about doing it. You know what I mean? They're just making criminals out of people.
Well, you know, I believe Premier VOCM has said that they found 300 fees and costs and taxes and so forth that they're going to review. Probably not have them all reviewed before the budget, of course, but they're going to review them all and see which ones can be eliminated.
What are they going to do? You know, I'm 77-year-old now. Are they going to wait for me to be 150-year-old before he does it? You know what I mean?
Well, you know, I hope not. But
and all my kids and grandkids and great-grandkids will be up getting their old age pension when all this stuff is done. You know what I mean? All this kind of stuff they're going to do. And my mother-in-law used to say, "Damn, they're going to do it. Get on with it and do it." You know, and get some progress made here, man. And never mind. You know, if they was getting paid by the hour on their job as politicians, they wouldn't be making very much money. I'll tell you that, because the hours that they spend looking after their constituents is almost nil.
Well, we always got the opportunity.
I worked for 55 years, and I was a boilermaker, a welder, and a fitter by trade. Worked all over Alberta, you know, with all the oil companies and all this stuff. And I tell you what, I was in public life, so mayor of a town, the president of the Lions Club, a fire chief, manager of Fish Plant, and all this stuff over my career. And I tell you what, brother, I'm nobody's fool, and I'm not depending on government for nothing.
Well, you know, Noah, the government that governs least governs best, maybe. Hey.
Yeah.
Okay, so and look, you're.
I never went in government because I never went in government. I was John Crosby flew down 3 or 4 times, want me to run for MHA, but I said no. I can't go in government because I said the people who's in government, I said they goes in government, I said would good intentions, and all of a sudden their intentions is taken away by the governing policy or whatever they got, you know, the system that they're in. You know what I mean?
So they get sucked up by the system and can't be as effective as you'd hope they'd be. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, there are rules and so forth, but you're right. The government of the day has the say on the taxes and on the fees and on all those sorts of things. And you know, we're looking forward to seeing the first budget of this new government, and that usually sets a tone as to where they're going to go fiscally. Certainly out the gate, but you know, in the first 6 months of this government, they're like any other government. They're reviewing the finances. They're trying to figure out where the money is and where it isn't, and where it can be saved and where it needs to go. So, you know, they're doing that process now. The pressure, of course, is on them with regards to the first budget and to see what kind of tone they set for the economic future of the province. But I think a lot will be disclosed in that.
But on the other runner for the politics, they're going to do all this stuff. You know, they're not going to go back and take on 4 or 5 years to figure out what they're going to do. They're going to do it right now when they're going around for to get elected. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I hear that.
But when they get saying no, they got to go through all this rigmarole. Or again, you know, they got to get other people come in. They got people there, qualified people. Should be qualified people in government. You know, they've been in there 100 years. We should have qualified people in government for the advice, the politicians, but they got to bring in another different crew and pay them, pay this crew big money for the do a survey and all this stuff on it, you know, and then everything that they said in this report is like Richard Casson said, is gaining dust in the archives.
Yeah, and anything you've said here this morning, Noah, ain't wrong. I've got to go to the newscast now, but I want to thank you for calling in.
Tell Mrs. Angela Barber to phone me.
Yeah, and look, you make sure you call. Make sure you call her.
They done the survey. They done the pavement here this year. Yeah. They done pavement here on the Northern Peninsula this year, and our town, Pine Cove, was gone to. I asked the engineers about Pine Cove. They didn't even know Pine Cove existed on the Northern Peninsula, but we've got 25 houses here, 25 families here in Pine Cove, and then they went and done the pavement this year, and the worst part of the road it is between Show Cove and Greenon Cove, and that's where Point Cove is. They never put no culverts in. They put a culvert in. They bypassed us, the Pine Cove, and done and the culverts and the pavement, and then in other towns, Savage Cove, and Sandy Cove, and Greenon Cove, and Illish Cove, and Show Cove, and.
Okay, so Noah,
you know what I mean?
Noah, I got to go to break now. But look, you give Minister Barber's office, her constituency office, a call. See if you can get back to her. If she heard you this morning, I'm sure she'll get a briefing, and we might hear something back. Noah, thank you. I got to go to break, but thank you for calling. Appreciate it, and call back again. Dave, we're going to go to the news now, I believe, for 11 o'clock, and we'll be right back on VOCM's Open Line. Give us a call.
You're listening to a rebroadcast of VOCM Open Line. Have your say by calling 709-273-5211 or 1-888-590-8626 and listen live weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and I just got to say for the last caller, Noah, that called in, I really appreciate his enthusiasm. And, of course, his desire seems to be if you're saying you're going to do something, let's see you do it. Why does it take so long? And, of course, I suppose we have to appreciate the fact that there is a bit of getting comfortable in the new digs and getting to find out where everything is. And, of course, the Premier has already noted that he's found 300 different fees and costs and so forth that are passed on that probably a lot of them don't make any sense. So things like that are what's going to make this next budget so interesting, and especially seeing what the tone is, what they're going to do to help people with the rising costs. So anyway, it's one of those things, and I get Noah says, let's do it now. And how often do we hear things said that don't happen for a long time? We always wonder why, and it always makes us question the integrity. But let's see how it goes. Let's give them a chance, as they say. And I believe I am going to do number 3. Yes, I'm going to line 3, and I have Patrick on the line. Patrick, good morning. Welcome to Open Line.
Thank you. Hello, and thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I was prompted to call because I heard a call this morning from someone in the tourism industry here in the province, and they were talking to you about one comment they made. They're always trying to improve access into the province because Marine Atlantic is full during the summertime. And it's a choke point, so I think it's really time that our provincial government has to start doing the due diligence on another major transportation link into this province, and that's the highway along the north shore of the Gulf of St. Lawrence, also a tunnel under the Strait of Belle Isle, and improvements to the highway on the Northern Peninsula. So it's being called by Tom Cairns, the Churchill Falls engineer. He called it the Northern Trans-Canada Highway. And he said that it would be a major economic boost to this province. And I agree with him. I think we really need that other major access route. And it's really showing now that we have this choke point and we can't reach our full potential here unless we have this additional transportation route into the province.
Yeah, and I was up in Happy Valley Goose Bay a few years back, just before COVID, visiting relatives, and and I was chatting about differences in the area now from the time I'd been up there before, probably 15 years earlier. And he says, well, I can drive to Walmart now. And I said, you got a Walmart in Happy Valley? He says, no, there's one in Corner Brook, but I can drive up around now and get the ferry and go across and and go to Walmart. And access, that's how he saw it. He saw it as access meant a lot to him to be able to access things even though they weren't closed. He had that new connection. And, and of course, we know the great stuff up the Northern Peninsula and especially for the tourism and hospitality industry and the historic sites up there and the people and all the services that the great folks up there offer. You got to be able to get there. You got to be able to get there reasonably in order to do it. And we heard the same thing from St. Vincent's. We got a beautiful spot to watch whales. We just got nowhere to park, so it's not sufficient.
This person from the Tourism Industry Association here, this is an example how this transportation link would benefit the entire province. It would benefit the island portion, St. John's area, everywhere. If we can improve the access into this province and get more people in and out of here, and of course the transportation of goods, all the freight that comes in, that's another avenue for that freight to follow and compete with what's coming in on the ships that's coming into St. John's, right? This is something that we really need as a province to reach our full potential.
And I don't remember if Tom Kearns did any depth into it or not, because I met Tom and I remember Tom well, and but any project of any size like that, even if you started shoveling today, you'd be a decade down the road before you actually opened it. And of course, if you don't get through the planning stages and get yourself, as we say, shovel ready, so that when the money is available and the funding is there and everything lines up, like it seems to be doing between Toronto and Montreal with this super link and so forth, then you're always going to be 10 years out, aren't you?
Yes, I mean whether it's 7 years or 10 years. Yes, but it's time to start now. That's what I'm calling for. I'm calling for our provincial government. This is where it has to start here. The feds are not going to come down and impose this on us. We have to start it here, and we have to work with the province, or that's what I'm suggesting anyway. Let's do a joint project with the province of Quebec and Newfoundland and Labrador. Propose this nation-building project, because it is a great nation-building project for Canada to have a Trans-Canada Highway along the north shore of the Gulf direct to Labrador, and then a tunnel into Newfoundland. It would really improve the transportation network for this province and for Canada. And it is a core responsibility of government to provide transportation routes that allows the economy to flourish and the private sector to flourish,
Yeah, and of course with the federal government's announcement that they're going to revitalize Happy Valley Goose Bay, the Goose Bay base there, the importance of our location, the importance of our connectivity, and of course for the Arctic and for our defenses overall has been highlighted. So maybe now no better a time to start the planning stages and so forth to see what's possible and to see which way we can go with anything like that. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned Tom Kearns, and I remember he appeared on the Here and Now Supper Hour news program in the 1990s when Confederation Bridge was being built, and he was advocating for this Northern Trans-Canada Highway, and he had the route laid out, and the diagram was shown on the piece. And so he looked into it quite a bit. And of course, it's been talked about since. The Canada Infrastructure Bank, Transportation Infrastructure Bank, looked at it, and they said that they would like to do it. They would like to fund that project. the Federal Liberal Convention. It was raised to the floor of the Federal Liberal Convention in Halifax, and they voted to support that project.
And I always wonder as well with regards to that, Pat. And sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I always wonder with that: did we not do ourselves, or did we do ourselves an injustice? In 1949 in Confederation, it seems to me that Prince Edward Island, when they made they negotiated their way into the early Canada, that they got free access to the ferry going back and forth, and then the commitment, of course, to always provide, and then it became more cost effective to just build them a bridge. And of course, I don't know if it's still true, but in the early days, if you were from PEI, you didn't have to pay to cross the bridge.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
One
no,
way, I
never
suppose.
was. No.
Yeah. So the ferry certainly was, and of course, when they got to the bridge, I suppose the cost of it. But
I was born and raised on PEI, and the ferry was never free. It was
never free. Yeah. Okay.
No, so, you had to pay. You had to pay for the ferry.
Both ways. Yeah. But they always maintained
and in fact, when they opened the bridge, both ways. And when they opened the bridge, the rate for accessing the bridge was based on the ferry rate in force at that time.
It's like $35 or something, was it? Was something like that?
I think it was $25.
Yeah, something like that.
Round trip. For the bridge, and of course, and then they had an inflationary index for the cost to go up, and right now it's up to, it was up to $50, but the Feds just dropped it to $20.
Okay, there you go. Well, look, Pat, I got to go to a break, but I appreciate you calling in, raising the fixed link issue, and of course, like we say, if you don't start planning now, you're always going to be 7 or 10 years down the road before you get anywhere with it. So thank you for calling. I'm going to turn it back over to Dave now, and Dave, you take us to break, and we'll be back on Open Line in just a few moments. Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and we're going to go to line 1 with Derek. Derek, welcome to Open Line.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, sir. How can we help you this morning?
I want to talk about the antimony mine there in Glenwood.
Sure, go ahead.
It's been shut now for, I guess, almost 2 years, I guess. It's an awful long time anyway, and I was reading online. I've seen a thing there on one of the Facebook pages or something. This guy was asking the senators or up in Ottawa about antimony and that, because this is the only antimony mine in Newfoundland, in Canada actually, and it's only one of 2 in North America. One is down, I believe it's in Montana. And anyway, it was sold to a Chinese company. Now, the Chinese got their own antimony mines over there, so they keep it closed there for their own purposes to drive up the cost of antimony. And last year, the antimony was really high, but there still wasn't hoping. So I understand it was the provincial government that sold it to the Chinese, but I don't understand how that worked out, but whatever. Why is it still closed? Antimony is a very rare mineral, and like I told you, there's only one in Canada, that mine up there, and still closed, and nobody seems to care about it. No one, says, well, we're seeing, can we buy it back from the Chinese, or even expropriate it? If somebody got something that's good for the province and for the country, and they're not doing anything with it, just keeping their own mines going and leaving this one idle for their own purposes, it should be expropriated.
Yeah, so that's been sitting there idle now for what, 2-3 years?
Yes, I don't know how long it's precisely, but it's been quite a while, and it's for a rare earth mineral, and the only one in Canada. And then we're letting the Chinese decide when they're going to open it or when they're not going to open it. It did open for a little while back, 2-3 years ago, but it only lasted a little while because they wanted a bit of extra antimony for their purposes, I guess. So what can be done about this? Why are we allowing this to go on and nobody working there, and there's no good for the province, there's no good for Canada. So, in that respect, shouldn't there something be done here?
Yeah, no, it's a great question and timely too, of course, because we hear so much in the news these days about critical minerals and the need for them and so forth. And if you've got something that's quite rare and needed in production, then of course it has value, and therefore why does it sit? Now, obviously, you may know better than I do what the full use of this has, but maybe you can give us a little bit of a history on where the antimony would go and what its use was.
No, it was used in lots of things. Even battery acids could get antimony into them. So it's a very weird thing. And the munitions, I've seen things online there about it was used in the military and that kind of thing. So it's a very it's a mineral that every country should have, if they, and not be dependent on anybody else to give it to them, and because of its rarity, of course, we're letting it, we should be doing something to get it back, get ownership back again. And like I said, the ugly word there, I guess, expropriation.
Was this maybe you would know, was this a unionized site or not a unionized site? Is there representation that would be able to talk on behalf of the workers, or should this just go directly to Natural Resources and have them comment on it?
I don't think the last people that were up there, the Chinese were unionized, of course, but I don't think the owners before the Chinese were unionized either. Now, I could be staying corrected on that, but I don't believe they were. But I mean, you see, it did employ quite a few people from this town and from Appleton and from other places in Newfoundland that were miners or into mining. And, it's a crime not to have it, it's not like something that we don't need. It's something that we do need, and we need it big time. So why is it anybody talking about it? Why isn't anybody doing anything about it?
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. And, of course, for the local economy, the benefits were huge. I think there was, at some point, there was at least 100 people working there. And, of course, that resonates into a large payroll and so forth. So that's something that the Natural Resources Department should be commenting on. I'm not sure about the local councils in the area, if they have any thoughts on it. If they do, please give us a call. But we'll look out for that one, absolutely, Derek, because if it's just sitting there and it could be producing something that's of need, of use, and isn't shut down because of overproduction all around the world, which doesn't sound like it from your view for sure. That doesn't seem to me any reason why there wouldn't be money to be made there and jobs to be had.
Yeah. Can I speak about one more thing about the Strange Lake mine in northern Labrador and on the Quebec border?
Sure, go ahead.
There's a mine up there starting. Now, this is rare earth minerals too. They are starting to mine. The part of the mine is going to be in Quebec. This is in northern Labrador, and borders on New Netherlands government land up there, their claim lands. And it's on the other side of the border in Quebec. But they're starting the mine in Quebec, and the concentrator is going to be in Quebec. But the highest grade ore is actually in Labrador, but they're starting that part in Quebec first. And like I said, the concentrate is going to be in Quebec. But they're shipping this ore out to Antelope Bay, Voisey's Bay, whatever you want to call it. But we always call it Antelope. And I wonder if we're getting anything for that. Why are we letting Quebec ship their product across our territory or the New Netherlands territory, which is under provincial government or federal government, whatever? And I wondered if there's any thing in place, that there's anything that's going to be done for either the people in northern Labrador or anything coming to the province. Because, I mean, say we can't ship our electricity across Quebec, without them, taking a big chunk of it and saying, no, we'll buy it from you and resell it again. So now the thing has changed around. Now they want to ship something across our territory. So I'm wondering if anybody's just not really interested in doing anything about it, or that's letting them do what they want to do. Because, I mean, see, the shipping terminals are right there, because this is where they ship the ore from Voisey's Bay. So
so you're looking to see if there's an economic benefit for the province or the people up there for shipping out of this, and I would say up the northern area down. And I what I understand is Sept-Îles is where it's supposed to land, so it would come through down the strait and into the mouth of the St. Lawrence up to St. Eel. And you're suggesting that they're doing this with no benefit to the province, shipping through our territory, when of course, as we know, to go the other way would be expensive for us as well. Hey.
Yes, I don't know now if there is something in place, but I can't find it. And to say, I know there's housing needs in Nain and all the other coast communities up in what we call the North Shore. So, it should be a benefit for both provinces if they got, it's so obvious that, okay, we're going to ship out to your terminal and everything, but we're not going to let your electricity go across our province. So anyway.
It's a solid point. I'm going to let you go, Derek. I thank you for calling in, and hopefully we can get some answers on that antimony mine out there and see what we can find out about it. And thank you for calling this morning. Appreciate your comments and your concerns. And I've got to go to a break now. So, Derek, good morning. Have a great day. And Dave, it's off to you.
The Tim Powers Show. Join the conversation weekday afternoons at 4 p.m. on your VOCM.
Welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Benton. We are in the home stretch of the show here on Tuesday, and joining me now from Line 5 is St. John's Councillor Tom Davis, representing Ward 4. Good morning, Councillor. How are you today?
Doing great, Mayor Bent. How are you doing?
Not too bad, sir. What's on your mind today from the good people of Ward 4?
Well, this is a little broader than that, as usual, but a couple of things to make people aware of. The city has got oversized waste appointments, and there was a misprint in an email out that said they were starting this morning, but it's actually next week that residents can go onto the Curb with St. John's app or to curbwithstjohns.ca, and they can book an appointment, but you can't start booking. The tab is not there yet, and it won't be there till next Tuesday morning. So for people's benefit, basically each garbage pickup day, so if you get your garbage picked up on Monday, then there is a week assigned that you can have it picked up. So you have to schedule only during that week. And the pickup times, I'm not going to list them off. People can go on the website, but basically it's from May the 11th till June the 12th. So there's a month that people can have oversized garbage picked up. And for a lot of areas of the city where residents don't have access to vehicles or trucks to haul stuff away, this is a really good opportunity to clean up those undesirable things that sometimes in some areas of the city just get put out by the size of homes. And so I encourage residents, take advantage of it. If you don't have access to the internet, you can call 311.
Yeah, and Tom, they book appointment for pickup, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so we don't see those like the old days where everybody had their garbage out for 2 weeks in big piles in front of their houses and so forth. Those days are gone, certainly in the metro area. I know in our area and, of course, in your area. So you book your time, you have your stuff out the night before or the morning of, and they'll come along and take it. Is there a fee to that, Tom?
No, it's free. There are some size limitations. It has to be under 5 feet by 5 feet by 7 feet, which is pretty big. It's got to weigh less than 150 pounds. And it's something that shouldn't be able to fit inside a garbage bag or a box. So it's not it's not more garbage you can put out. It is those things in your backyard or your house or in the neighborhood, even if residents want to get really, on the ball, and maybe there's been some challenging areas where there's this stuff that's been sitting around there all year, getting just left out. Good time to get it tidied up. Metal, you will also be able to book. It's a separate booking because we're going to go around in a different vehicle and pick up metal.
Yeah, so best deal in town at that price. So, what else is on your mind this morning, Tom?
Just to carry on with that just a little bit, anybody who's got any gently used furniture or household items, consider donating it. There's a number of great organizations. The city now has a partnership with Home Again Furniture Bank and Habitat for Humanity Restore, so you can actually bring that to the landfill, and there's a special place out there that you put those things, and then they'll hopefully find a new home. Of course, that's stuff that you would you'd give to a family member or someone. I mean, obviously, if it's garbage, but we want to reuse. Yeah, so that's that. Overnight parking ban, which the city extended because of this unfortunate extension of the winter weather, it ended yesterday just for people's benefit. So, but there is always the opportunity, and hopefully we're not going to see it, where we would put in place the weather parking ban that would be announced, that we don't want anybody parked in case we get another big storm, which hopefully, fingers crossed, we're through it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hope we're through it.
So I'm going to take off the council hat a little bit and talk about this incredible mini conference that the Rotary put together, the Waterford Valley Rotary put together yesterday, and it had an incredible attendees, and I give full credit to Bill Stoyles, who is an active Rotary member, and put together. We had incredible speakers and roundtables, so a lot of people might recognize, like Dick Whitaker was a speaker, DFO was there. We had our manager of Parks and Sustainability spoke from the city, Mount Pearl spoke, Track Consulting spoke, Conservation Corps and Mount Pearl Chamber of Commerce spoke. It was really excellent, and I know that the beautiful town of CBS has incredible rivers as well that run through it, and a lot came out of it, and we're going to be summarizing all that, and I'll speak about it in the future. But, we really need to realize that everything that we throw out ends up eventually in a river. It gets through a storm sewer, or just, it just makes the way in the river, and then of course it gets into the ocean. And plastics get broken down, and then they micro and nanoplastics and different organisms, small little things like zooplankton and plankton, they absorb this plastic because they think it's food, and then the bigger creatures eat it, and then the bigger creatures eat the smaller creatures, and then we eventually are eating cod or salmon or tuna or something, and all those micro nanoplastics are accumulated. Unfortunately, they actually have been shown now to cross the blood-brain barrier as well as the placenta wall. So, we're having babies born with micro nanoplastics in their bodies already. So, this is, an awareness, the beginning of awareness, and I just want everybody to realize those beautiful rivers are such an asset to our community, and that was really loud and clear yesterday, for our mental health, for the environmental health, and for the value, too, that if you live adjacent to a river and a walking trail, it increases the value of your home. But obviously it's not valuable if, when you look out, it's a garbage repository. So
I remember 20, 30 years ago, Tom, going down and doing some coverage on some of the cleanups they did on the Waterford River, and over the 30, 40, 50 years prior to that, it was a dumping zone, literally a dumping zone, and, pulling out car parts and old machinery and so forth along that river. And they've done a tremendous job of cleaning up the area over the years. And of course, it'll never go back to as bad as it was. It'll always be better than that. But of course, it's always incumbent on all of us to be mindful, of what it is that goes out and where it goes and where it can end up and what it can cause down the road. So appreciate you bringing that one forward.
Yeah, and I know you guys do it up there, but we're organizing cleanups. The Rotary is going to be leading up the entire river, right from Paradise all the way down to the harbor. And people can reach out to me if they'd like to be involved. And we've broken it up into 14 different zones. And as well as if this is me with my hat back on, if any residents of my ward or even the city in general, or Paradise, Mount Pearl, or CBS wants to organize a cleanup and they'd like me to be involved, I'll show up. I imagine CBS, I know Mount Pearl and St. John's provides garbage bags, and we'll pick up the garbage that people do in these community cleanups. Let's take pride in our community. And let's all be part of the solution. Yeah,
I think all of us do a community cleanup at some point. I know we do. It's usually early June, I think. We do a community cleanup 3-hour challenge. And the people that come out and clean things up, it's incredible. And, of course, once you've done an area once, it's never as bad as the first time it's been done, because you don't know how long it's been since anybody cleaned anything up. But, I think that most people are pretty diligent these days. And we're not going back to the old days of dumping wherever as badly as it was. It's much easier to track these things these days, of course, and I think we have a better consciousness of where our things are going.
Yeah, 100%. So listen again, well done on what you're doing there. Encourage anybody who wants to be involved in the cleanup, reach out, and everybody have a great week. Take care.
All right, Tom, thank you very much. And we are right hard upon our next break. So, Dave, I think I'm actually going to go a little bit early to the break this morning. So you're listening to Open Line on VOCM, numbers 273-5211. We only got a few minutes left. We're going to go to break, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Well, welcome back to Open Line. I'm your host, Darren Bent, and we're in the last little stretch of the program for today, and it's been a great couple of days. Thank you very much. All the calls today really made the show spin by really quickly. Just want to touch on a couple of interesting things I came across this morning. What is considered the first ever detective story. So the beginning of what led to Matlock, Murder, She Wrote, and of course my favorite, Columbo, One More Thing. Edgar Allan Poe's The Murders in the Rue Morgue was published on this date in 1841 and is widely considered to be the first detective story. So all of that came from 1841 up to today. And of course, who doesn't love a good detective story? We all have probably seen a little bit of Poirot and Clouseau over the years. Anyway, also something that, is we know it's the 50th anniversary, the 50th season of the Toronto Blue Jays. And they started in the cold and the snow back in 1977, finished in a miserable season, 54 wins, 107 losses. To this point in the season, in 1977, though, our Toronto Blue, I'm a Blue Jay fan, I don't mind saying, their record was 7 wins and 8 losses. And 15 games into this season, they are 6 wins and 9 losses. So even that inaugural season, as bad as it ended up being, was actually started out a little better than they started out this season. Of course, I think I counted nine key players on the injured list. So they're having those troubles, but they did win the first game. They beat the White Sox 9-5. And of course, if you're a Blue Jays fan, we didn't do anything against the White Sox last weekend. But a bigger note in 1969, on this date, was the first ever Major League Baseball game played outside the United States. And of course, it was the first home game of the Montreal Expos at Jerry Park. They played the St. Louis Cardinals, won the game 8-7. And so that was the first time Major League Baseball had come to Canada in a real way to start that season in 1969. Of course, there are many of us who still mourn the loss of the Montreal Expos, and they were the team, Canada's team, right up until, of course, 1977 and beyond, because there were a lot of people that didn't take to the Toronto Blue Jays right away because they just couldn't win to save their soul. And of course, the Montreal Expos were doing incredible things, had a massively good lineup, all-stars and Hall of Famers. And of course, they were, came very close. They had the shortened year and all that. But anyway, their first game was in Canada was on this date in 1969. I also want to mention, just before I get too far in, something interesting that we talk about from the weekend. And if you watch the Masters golf tournament, you may have seen something or noticed something that you don't actually see very often, especially in sporting events. Everyone in the crowd at most baseball, basketball, hockey, any other sporting events, whatever it is, you see people with their cell phones up to their ears and up to their eyes and up to their faces, taking video and doing selfies and all these different things. And of course, at the Masters, you didn't see that. And we're told that cell phones are not permitted into the Masters. And that may be something that people don't mind. It may be something that people go, I came to the Masters, I want to get a few pictures of whoever the star may be at the time. But someone here mentioned earlier, well, Dave actually mentioned it to me, without the cell phone, it forces you to live in the moment. It forces you to be present and be there when something is happening. But on the downside of it, of course, if you've got a memory like mine, if I don't have a couple of pictures of it, I'm probably not going to remember it too far down the road. And sometimes when I get these reminders on my phone, it shows me a picture of something that I've forgotten that I did, that I went, oh, that was really nice, but it wouldn't have come to me, or I wouldn't have thought about it again had it not come up as a photo reminder. And of course, if you don't have the photo, now would I forget being at the Masters? Probably not, but some of the moments that you capture, you definitely forget. Also, and just take a moment, on this date, and of course at 11:40 this evening, the call came out from the Titanic that it had hit an iceberg off the coast of Newfoundland, and of course the call came in here to Newfoundland, and it was picked up by two Cape Race wireless operators. They heard the messages from the Titanic. They were the first ones, and that happened in 1912, of course. And the Titanic, is something that has, been a curiosity ever since, and of course has led to lots of expeditions. IMAX did one of its first feature films on the Titanic, and most of the access we get from the Titanic or to the Titanic comes out of St. John's, and we do have a Titanic museum here in the city of St. John's, and is something that encourage people this summer and this year. If you haven't been there, go there. I've been there. I've been to the one in Halifax, and they're both incredible, and it's great to see. So I encourage anyone to go out and see that. And of course, the tragedy of the Titanic, is in some way it continues. And of course, we all know about the Ocean Gate Titan submersible tragedy from 3 years ago this year. And I can't believe it's 3 years ago already when we learned that the 5 people aboard that submersible perished in their search for the Titanic, as it were, to go down and have a look in person. Okay, we've got a couple of minutes left, and we've got a caller on line 1, so I'm going to go take that call, and that is Tolson. And Tolson, you're on open line. Welcome.
Well, good morning, Darren. How are you this morning? Well, I've met you before, really, when you were with NTV one time when I was doing the horse drive on the way to St. John's.
You were doing
years ago. Remember, I used to do the horse drive for the Janeway.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah. So you used to make that run every year, hey?
Yeah. Well, I made it 3 different years. Well, I don't want to speak on that right now, so I know time is running out.
Okay.
I do want to speak on the Titanic situation. That message came no doubt to Cape Race, but also related through the Hearts Content cable station.
Yeah, and there you go. And there's an important historic spot, isn't it? Hey.
Yeah, well, there it is. And I want to mention that it's really important because when the 150th anniversary, or the 100th anniversary of the Titanic, which was in 2012, would that be right?
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we had a reenactment up there that night, and when the Titanic was going down, one of the hymns sung was, I think, "Nearer My God to Thee." That was reenacted in the cable station that night. That's coming across the wires. Darren, it was touching, to say the least. You had to be there. You almost felt like you were basically aboard of the Titanic, the way they had it created.
Yeah, transported back in time. Man. Yeah, no, that must have been incredible.
Yeah, Darren, I'm also a councillor in the town of Hearts Content. I'll be there for 25 years come the fall. I also want to say that this year is the 160th anniversary on July 27, 1866, of the landing of the cable. This year is 160 years. For the cable being landed, but also the red part of the building is a heritage part, is 150 years. So Hearts Content this year is going to be celebrating heavy with and try to keep everything in perspective of the situation and how it is. Boy, I'll tell you what, the history is amazing in Newfoundland and Labrador.
Yeah, and you guys are doing a great job in preserving that there as well for people to see and to experience as well. Hey.
Well, Darren, have you ever been out here to visit the cable station?
I have not been in the cable station. I know where it is because I've driven by it so many times, but I'd love to see it, yeah.
Yeah, well, you should come out sometime. If I had a chance, I'd give you a tour around the harbour as well to have a look at it and see different things we got here. But also, like I said, there's Unreal by the Sea. You go back in time and you go in there, and believe it or not, a lot of people still don't realise that is the 8th wonder of the world, the landing of the transatlantic cable.
Yeah, no, it's an amazing story, and in its time as well. Hey.
In its time, yeah. Well, you go in there, it's like people have come there, and I've worked there over the years, and people come there and they say, like, you're setting back in time. Like, it's amazing. You have to see it to believe it.
Yeah, the true connection of the old world and the new world.
Yeah, exactly right. Well, I'm not going to keep you no longer, and thanks for that. And probably some other time I get a chance to have a yarn with you on different things about the Janeway.
Absolutely, and thanks for calling Tolson to finish out the show today. I really appreciate it. And so the Hearts Content obviously had that role as well as Cape Race in that fateful evening some 14 years ago tonight. And we're getting close to the end of the show this evening or this morning, and I just want to throw out one more thing. And of course, this is always apparently because of the Titanic and because of this next event is considered a dark day in history. But on this day in 1865, Abraham Lincoln was shot at Ford's Theater, and he passed away early the next morning. Of course, he was shot by actor John Wilkes Booth, and of course he died. This was only months after he had won his second term as president. He also was able to get his Emancipation Proclamation through Congress not that much before, making slavery illegal in the United States. And, of course, the Civil War was all but done at that same time. So a fateful day in the history at the Titanic, the Montreal Expos, and Abraham Lincoln all on the same day. So there it is. Thank you for listening, everyone, and look forward to be back on the program tomorrow morning. I haven't seen the hook here going around the hallways today as of yet, so I guess they're going to have me back tomorrow. And look, I encourage every one of you, if you have something to say, something on your mind, something you want to send in to let us know, please do so. We're happy to get it on the air. Thank you very much for listening, and we welcome you back again tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. Thank you, and good day.